You thought you found the one, when every text made your heart skip and every kiss felt like destiny. The butterflies, the sleepless nights, the constant daydreaming about your perfect future together. Then reality hit. They left dishes in the sink. They snored. They had bad days and said things they didn't mean. The magic started fading, and you wondered if you'd made a terrible mistake. Maybe this wasn't real love after all. Here's what nobody tells you. That moment when the fantasy dies is when real love can finally begin. Most of us confuse love with infatuation. Psychologist Dorothy Tennov called this intense early-stage limerence, that obsessive, all-consuming feeling that Hollywood has convinced us is love itself. You know the feeling. Your entire mood depends on whether they text back. You project perfection onto them, filling in gaps with your imagination. This fantasy version of love feels incredible because it's not really about the other person. You're falling in love with your own projections, your hopes, your idea of what this relationship could mean for your life. Psychologist Robert Johnson wrote about this in We, Understanding the Psychology of Romantic Love. He explained how we use romantic fantasy to avoid the harder work of actually knowing another human being. The fantasy serves a purpose. When you're struggling with self-doubt or feeling lost in your career, when you're questioning your worth or direction, romantic fantasy offers an escape. If this perfect person loves you, maybe you're worthy after all. If this relationship works out, maybe your life will finally make sense. But fantasy love is brittle. The moment your partner reveals their humanity, their fears, their morning breath, their tendency to leave towels on the floor, the illusion cracks. You feel disappointed, maybe even betrayed. How dare they not be the perfect person you imagined? Real love starts in this moment of disillusionment. When you see your partner clearly not as a projection of your needs or a solution to your problems, but as a complete human being with their own struggles and contradictions, you have a choice. You can chase the fantasy with someone new, or you can choose to love what's actually in front of you. This choice requires something our culture rarely talks about: the ability to love from a place of wholeness rather than need. Psychologist Erich Fromm argued in The Art of Loving that mature love is an expression of personal fulfillment, not a desperate attempt to find it through another person. When you stop needing your partner to be perfect, something beautiful happens. You start seeing them for who they really are. Their quirks become endearing rather than disappointing. Their struggles become opportunities for compassion rather than threats to your fantasy. You discover that real intimacy, the kind that actually nourishes your soul, comes from being truly known and accepted, flaws and all. This shift changes everything. Instead of constantly measuring your relationship against some impossible standard, you start appreciating what you actually have. Instead of trying to change your partner into your ideal, you learn to love them as they are. Instead of seeking completion through romance, you bring your whole self to the relationship. The paradox is that when you stop desperately needing love to save you, you become capable of the kind of love that actually transforms lives. You move from consumption to contribution. You stop asking, "What can this person do for me?" and start asking, "How can I show up for this person?" This doesn't mean settling for bad treatment or incompatibility. Real love requires discernment. Some relationships don't work, and that's okay. But when you find someone worth building with, the death of fantasy opens up something far more valuable: partnership based on reality. You start navigating challenges together instead of running when things get difficult. You support each other's growth instead of trying to freeze each other in perfection. You build trust through consistent small actions rather than grand romantic gestures. You create intimacy through vulnerability rather than performance. The psychologist Alfred Adler understood that healthy relationships require what he called social interest, genuine care for another person's well-being that extends beyond your own needs. This kind of love grows stronger over time because it's rooted in reality rather than illusion. Years later, you might look back on those early fantasy days with fondness, but you wouldn't trade the deep contentment of real love for the desperate highs of limerence. Real love doesn't make your heart race every day, but it gives you something better, a sense of home. The next time fantasy dies in your relationship, don't panic. Don't immediately assume you've chosen wrong. Take a breath and look at the real person standing in front of you. Ask yourself, stripped of all projections and expectations, do I genuinely care about this human being's happiness and growth? If the answer is yes, you might just be falling in love for the first time.